It's April 27. I'll take that again. It's today in EVE Online, April 27, 2020. I am Matterall. Looking at stats delivered to us from EVE Online through .lan, the most violent regions are Pureblind in the north, with 1,060 ships destroyed, 674 pods destroyed of those ships. The Kalevala Expanse, 867 ships destroyed, 491 pods destroyed. And Catch at number 3, 761 ships destroyed, 506 pods destroyed. That's the last 24 hours in 00 space. In Empire space, the Forge had 4,663 ships destroyed, and 1/4 of those pods destroyed. Most violent systems in the last 24 hours are LXQ2 TAC T and Ethereum Reach. That's 219 ships destroyed, 174 pods destroyed. That happens to be Pandemic Horde's playground, so it's usually going to rank high on the list. Most violent systems in LowSec in the last 24 hours. Tama tops the chart as usual. 701 ships destroyed, 260 pods. At number 2 is Amamaki. 347 ships destroyed, 107 pods destroyed. And coming in at third, it's nice to see Barleguet from Placid region at 269 ships, 122 pods. Barleguet's a neat little system right before you enter Syndicate, and it was a playground for Brave, actually. And that was one of their, I don't know if you'd call them campuses or outposts. Let's have a look at Barleguet. It's a neat little location that offers a lot. And I'll tell you why. So we're looking at the map here. Barleguet is at the end of this fork, as you can see. Let me actually, instead of sovereignty, since this is Empire space, let's go to security. Now we can see that the green is HiSec, and the yellow to red colors are all low sec. So you can see that Placid is mostly low sec, with a pocket, a little island actually, of HiSec, and just a fraction of HiSec over here that connects to the rest of the world through Essence. So Placid is a very interesting region in general, but I'll show you that some of this is more interesting than other parts. For instance, right here you have an entrance into Syndicate from this little fork, this low sec fork. And right at the splitting point is Barleguet. So Barleguet leads you right into Syndicate, but it's also along this pipe for low sec. And that's a good place for people who want to have a market trade hub, which is not far. It's over here in Stackman. Stackman is here. So Stackman is a little bit of a trade hub. It's kind of a regional trade hub. And it supplies this whole low sec area, this low sec circle. And I don't know if you can see my mouse. Let's go to Constellation, and we can call them by constellation names. So Maluguar, this little constellation sits right over Stackman, and then you have this constellation that neighbors Stackman, which is Elzebolzier. Hey, I'm sticking with it. And that has a bunch of systems here. I used to live in this area, so I know it very well. And Kumamer and Anso And Rainier, one of my favorite systems in Eve, actually has a plasma planet in Rainier. But you also have Gare. It's a nice little place. And the reason I like these is they're actually very small systems. I think Camamare is the biggest system. Let's look at their radius. And that means it's easy to cross. So you get through these systems really quickly, which is true for this entire pipe that leads you to Syndicate. You can get through it really quickly. Even though it's a lot of jumps, they're really short jumps. So here's a radius. So I've switched my view now to radius, and you can see that the green are smaller systems, which means you can jump through them quicker. And the red are longer or bigger systems, take you a lot longer to warp through. So you can see all this bright green down here along this pipe, which is good. So you can chop right through these systems one after another. And that's pretty good. So at the end of this is Barleguet, which puts you right at the doorstep of Syndicate, TXW. And TXW on this map is right at the center of this long pipe, which means that you can get in there and go to Outer Ring relatively quickly, or you can go to Solitude if you're on your way to Solitude, or you go up into these hunting grounds for Syndicate, which is pretty good. So let's go back to Barleguet. Again, that's where Brave put their one of their locations was Barleguet. Why? Because they could access Syndicate, or they could play in low sec, and they had a trade hub nearby. So that's why that's a special area. Let's go back to security status. I want to point out a couple other things about this place. Very unusual. That's not security. That's security class. There's security status. Placid has 2 trade hubs. Orville is another trade hub, and actually Osmeden is the secondary trade hub for this area. What's neat about this is it's not far from Jita, I believe. That may only be like 9 jumps from Jita. And coming through here, through Essence, through Mesbier. If we follow Mesbier, Mesbier is actually right on the verge of faction warfare. Old Man Star and Haydelise, these are strongholds for the Galente militia. And you can see Mesbier plays right into that within 3 jumps here there. Either way, you go through Valor, Old Man Star to Haydelise, or you can go through Motherland, Muirthand, Indriguel, and then into Haydelise. So there's 2 routes into this faction war through Mesbier, which is a really cool system. It has neat planets on it. And that leads you also to Orville, right in there, right back into Placid. So Orville is a neighbor to Mesbier. Now the thing about Orville is it leads right into Syndicate. So you literally go from Essence to Placid to Syndicate. That's how fast you are. So let's keep in mind, I'm going back to Mesbier. This is Essence, right? This is like the heart of Cinq-Liaison. This is the heart of the Galente region, neighboring Cinq-Liaison. And this is about 7 or 8 jumps from Jita. So imagine that you're in Syndicate at about 9 jumps from Jita, because you're going to go Mesbier, Orville, which is a trade hub, into Syndicate. And when you go into PF TAC, you're coming in at the top of that pipe that I was talking about. So if you're coming through the bottom of Placid, you're going to end up in the middle of this long pipe. If you come in through Orville, you're going to be at the top. And that leads you into these rich hunting grounds over here, where you can play cat and mouse, because there's a lot of entrances and exits. Every system has 3 or 4 different entrances and exits. So it's hard to gate camp that area, which means that people can roam that pretty well, pretty freely. And Orville used to be really popular because of that nullsec entrance, but also because of the supply line from Jita. It's lost ground to Stackman. Stackman is now a better trade hub. It always had better pricing for some reason, but it was Stackman is now kind of the favorite in the region. I think Orville is kind of old. All right, guys. Good morning. Just want to say hello. All right, so let's go back to our our stats here. I think we were just about done with the most violent systems. So that's your picture of EVE Online for the last 24 hours. Let's go to the last 7 days if we want to look at solved changes. There's a couple interesting things here. Looks like Northern Coalition has taken 7 systems from the Skeleton Crew. Now, they've been allies for a long time. But those systems, whether they were freely given or not, are the exact same system. So you'll see the Skeleton Crew went down. Let's hit this, follow link. They went down 7 systems. Those exact systems are picked up by Northern Coalition. Could have been a trade, could have been pulled. Who knows? We can try to find out. Other than that, there's no major changes there. Couple 3 to 4 systems up and down. No direct trades that we've seen. I haven't seen anything as far as combat goes. As far as alliance movement, you have Silent Company growing another 1,000. This is a juggernaut of high-sec corporation. 21,000 members belong to that. And Shadow of Eden. Pandemic Horde picks up 320. I'm always interested to see who's joining Pandemic Horde. To see if some group lost corporation to Horde. Remember, we had incidents where notable corporations like Smell, for instance, have inactivity. Smell was part of Northern Coalition. They were the leader of Northern Coalition as far as corporation went. But when they became inactive, they took their corporation and they moved it to Horde to kind of have Horde leadership babysit it and maybe revive it. That didn't happen for Smell. They didn't come back from inactivity. But that's the kind of behavior that happens all over EVE Online. Is when leadership gets tired, and it is difficult to lead, they need to basically deposit their guys in a place where they can continue to have fun. That's actually what happened with Wildly Inappropriate, or they call it Y-Dot. It's where you take the leadership of an alliance, you fold it into one corporation, and you stick it in with a bigger, more active alliance so that your guys can continue to have fun while you take off and relax for a while. You might come back, take that corporation, and try to break off again and start back up. And sometimes you have a leadership fight when the old leader comes back and says, okay, looks like things are back up. Let's go do this thing that we were doing. And the people who are still there are like, hey, wait a minute, you took off and we're having a good time, so we're going to stick around. And sometimes you'll see a break in a corporation. So it's a risk. But I think when a leader wants to take off and doesn't want to disband the group, and there is no alternative leader, they will deposit the corporation into a different alliance that's more active. And that's what Horde is. It collects a lot of corporations. And Horde and Goon Swarm are particularly good at accepting corporations. That's one of their strengths. It's not their newbie program, although they also have that, but it's their accepting of other corporations. People like their organization. They like their leadership. They like their structure. They like their communication. They like their activity. So people will gradually move towards them. Corporations will. Okay. It looks like Special Assault Unit. Join them. We're 77 members. Let's look at their alliance history. Yeah, they're recently out of Triumvirate. So that's a good corporation. Triumvirate's a good alliance, good team. Looks like they're old gents. That's interesting. Gentlemen's Club, I believe, used to be its own alliance. So if that's who I think it is, then those guys were part of N3 a long time ago and evolved into Triumvirate in 2017, which puts them in a very active time for Triumvirate when they were in the drone regions. Triumvirate's still around, by the way, but it looks like they moved into Horde just recently, so that's a good acquisition for them. It may spell trouble for Triumvirate if they're losing corporations. Another corporation, Union of Outer Planets. By the way, we're just talking about Special Assault Unit. If we look at this next corporation, I wonder if this is, looks like a Slavic corporation if I just look at the CEO name, but that may not be enough to tell me. You have a bunch of question marks, which I think are some kind of marker probably. Oh, I see. Yeah, they speak English. Well, anyway, so let's look at their alliance history, and they're coming out of Reckless Contingency. I'm not familiar with Reckless Contingency. And those are the only two that joined in the last month. But really, the 77 comes from Special Assault Unit, which joined recently, a couple days ago. So that's some of Horde's growth. Remember when you see, like we saw that 77 joined Pandemic Horde. But here it says that 390 joined in the last week. Clearly that corporation that joined doesn't account for everybody. So when you have, which means that other people are joining the actual corporations that already exist in Horde, and we wouldn't see those numbers reflected in corporate joins. Edison Roberts, thank you. He says Exos, which is the corporation we were just talking about, the Assault Corporation. I already forgot their name. Let me go look. Special Assault Unit, Exos, or I guess just call it SOS. That is a German. Am I talking too quietly? I should be registering pretty loud. Anyway, that is a German corporation. That makes sense. I knew there was some kind of a language. You could tell here when you hit their public channel. Yeah, well, here it is in German. Now, why is that easier to see? Oh, I see. Yeah, this is German. And the other group that joined, I think they're English speaking. All right, cool. That's about what's going on with Horde. Okay. So I'll just read what Edison writes here. Sow isn't German. Sow is German for pig witch is Linda funny. Not sure I understand that. Okay, let's go to... We want to see some combat here. I'll just check iHubs. I don't know of any major conflict. There's definitely people fighting. It looks like the iHubs that are in danger as of today, there's 3 that are going to go into reinforce. One is in QHJR in Ethereum Reach. Second one is in KTAC-Z in Aquarius. And the last one is RTAC P7 in Veil of the Silent. So Fraternity will probably defend that one if they want to keep it. We shall see. Let's look at kills over the mark of 10 billion. Looks like a Satio went down for somebody took that out in Testala. And that's domain region. I wonder if our buddy was involved with that one. You also have 2 freighters that went down. Looks like one went down in Tama. What a freighter is doing in Tama, I don't know. Tama is one of the most violent low-sec systems. But there are people who can get a freighter in and out of there, but that one didn't make it. It was destroyed for a total of nearly 12 billion. It belonged to RIP Industries. It was killed by free pirates. We have a Hell that was destroyed. Looks like Skeleton Crew. Now that's interesting. Remember, we just saw them give up 7 systems, so it might have been a move op and this guy got caught, but it's worth taking a look. He was killed in the Spire, which is one of those systems, so let's have a look. See who killed it. Maybe that'll give us a clue. Mr. Barbarino here. So this super carrier was... First we look at the cargo to see what he was moving. Cargo did have some, looks like building pieces here. For structures, maybe? No, those are for... This looks like it might be for, well, I won't guess. It's not structures. It was outfit for combat. Okay, let's just see who killed this. Hard Knocks, got it. Okay, so that's just hostile. So he was caught probably and killed. Not sure what he was doing. Let's see. Yeah, he was ratting because you can see there's a rogue drone that was shooting him. So he was probably making some money with this thing, and these are probably the cargo that he was picking up is probably some of the loot that was dropping, maybe. But he was picked off by Hard Knocks. So Skeleton Crew, hell goes down to Hard Knocks in the Spire, or the Spire, depending on where you're from. And I think that constellation that did belong to Skeleton Crew was given up to NC Dot. Whether it was taken by force or not, I don't know. Yeah, freighter. Let's go back to that freighter kill that we saw in Tama. I want to take a closer look at it. It is a sketchy place to have a freighter. That one is here. Again, this is a pilot from RIP Industries. And what was he carrying? It looks like he had... the cargo value was... let's see, dropped 8 million. Well, it wasn't that. There wasn't anything priceless in here. So, but he was bringing a lot of moon minerals or materials in the form of like Farragal, which is already a reacted. It's like for moon minerals, we'll call them moon minerals. There's like levels of refinement. So you take 2 materials, you put those together, you get a third material that's now a level 2 material, and you take multiple level 2 materials, you put those together, you get a level 3 material, and it works like that. And there's like 4 levels. So this guy was moving moon material, looks like fuel. I don't see any structures in here, but it looks like he was definitely doing a logistics run, whether he was removing things from LowSec and going to the market, or he was moving into LowSec. This looks like an industrialist. This looks like a logistics run. Expanded cargo holds, which means that he wanted to carry more rather than defend his freighter. Going into Tama, he must have taken a wrong turn. There's few reasons to have a freighter that looks like this going through that area. I don't think a buffer tank would have helped anyway, because once you're caught in Tama, there's way too many fighters, too many pirates around for you to survive for long, regardless of your tank. Even if you had high-grade slaves in, which are implants that make your ship tankier, you can get a Providence up quite a bit. Well, actually, I'm thinking of its bigger brother, the Ark, that you can get up to like 970,000 effective hit points, EHP. The Providence, you might make it to 500,000. Still wouldn't last a few minutes to a gang. Gang would take you down pretty quickly. So don't know what happened here, but freighter, wrong place, wrong time. Tama, not a place you want to be doing logistics run in a slow freighter. You might do logistics runs in quicker ships or cloaked ships, something like that. Let me look at your comments here to see if you guys can shed some light on this. So Seriously says, people seem to die in Tama all the time, despite knowing how incredibly stupid it is to fly there. Yeah. Fonsway says, dude was dead before he undocked. Yeah. Rufotria. Can't read it very well. I have played people who have played 5 to 10 years and still don't know about Tama or Ninja or Narja or Udama or any kind of ganking system. I don't know if Tama is a ganking system, but it's low sec, so it's kind of like advertising. You have to say, yes, I'm deliberately going into this space to get destroyed. He might have been coming out for all we know. He could have been living in Tama and was moving stuff out and just got caught. Thought he was doing it at the right time. Didn't happen.
Uh-oh. I think I broke TeamSpeak again.
Hey, how are you?
Not TeamSpeak, Discord, whatever.
On air, Spod. How you doing? Okay, and yeah, so I agree with Rufat, that it's not necessarily a ganking system, but it is a violent system. It's always at the top of our list for most violent systems. All right, going to be a short day today. It's been 30 minutes, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. The shorter I make these, the more often I can do them. So that's it for today. That's not it for today. Let's go quickly to forums. Unfortunately, I haven't been looking at forums that often. I have seen that feedback for the updates has been pretty good for CCP. So I do want to start using the forums more. I feel really disconnected from EVE Online forums, and that's not a good feeling. Looking at videos in the last 24 hours, there's episode 227 of The Lone Wolf. I recommend The Lone Wolf all the time if you're into EVE Online at all, but he especially does some mechanics work. There is our friend Kara Cobre from Inner Hell. She goes by a different name, Tori Shepard. You might recognize that. High production value on those. And yeah, this looks like a Mimi video here with a wanted report and a Capsulier's face on there. And that is EVE Online Building My Industrial Empire special episode. That is gaming since the 70s. He's been gaming since the 70s. I might be interested in listening to him. Oh, here's a neat one. EVE Expert Guides channel has a video called Beauty of EVE Online Episode 3, Industry. Kind of excited to see people interested in industry. So those are some of the videos that are out there. Do YouTube, do EVE Online, and filter it for latest 24 hours, and you can see the same thing I'm seeing. Quickly on Reddit. Don't really see anything. Sorry, Reddit, you get like 5 seconds. Okay, that's it for today. Oh, there's one website. If I look on Twitter, you could see that. Where is it? Veskin 7. Was he Serbian or something? I don't know that flag. That is. What is white, green, and red? I mean, it's not Italian that I can tell, so I would imagine like Serbian. Let's see if he says.
Bulgarian.
Bulgarian. Okay, thank you. So this guy created something for his corp, but he went ahead and published it to everybody, and it's called Useful Links. And so if you click on that, you get this looks like group of links for different tools. So he goes from useful tools for Capsuleers. And I won't read them all because there's a big list here. But he has industry tools, market tools, planetary interaction tools. EVE has a ton of tools and a lot of people who build them. Intel tools, wormhole tools, ship fitting tools, Capsuleer, monitoring. Most of the stuff is going to be good, but there's a lot of outdated stuff up here that I can see. Like, I think if you go to news sites, news channels like EVE News 24, it's probably almost dead. They have one writer now, I think. New Eden Report pretty much is dead. They were pretty good, but they just didn't have the staying power. It's a nice product. Total Eve is a little bit outdated. Dirk McGurk, get on that. But I like this podcast, Declarations of War. Great podcast. We're actually going to maybe start putting Declarations of War podcasts through Talking in Stations. We also have Talking in Stations, so we're glad we made the list. We've been around long enough, finally. But they're missing like less than 10 podcasts here. That's a good podcast. So there's some stuff here. This was put together by Eve Uni. I think Eve Uni itself is a little dormant, unfortunately. Oh, look, Ashy in Space is here. That's good. And Noisy Gamer's here. That's good too. So approve. And we just make sure that Eve Travel's here. Yes, it is right there. Eve Travel. Those are my favorite websites. Missionary and Eve. And where's... Let's see. There's one more in here. Signal Cartel. Love them. Evoganda. That's Rick Javix. That's supposed to be propaganda, but it's Evoganda. Which I never understood the name because it sounded very African to me. Best of Us community support group for military people all over the world. I think you might be missing. Yeah, there's a blogger that might be missing there that I like. All right, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks everybody for coming today. We will see you next time. Since you all got here, I'm going to go ahead and raid you over to somebody. And how about, well, that's I, the worst player in Eve. I think that's a great PvPer. He's Russian though. So I'm not sure that you will benefit from watching him, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do real quick is try to find somebody, and I'll take recommendations as well. So I usually just go to Eve real quick and see who's around. Eve Log. Yeah, that's... oh, I always forget his name, but he's a lot of fun. Jebby. Yeah. Oh, Baltrom is on too. Ooh, you guys vote on all. We'll raid whoever. Baltrom is good too. I worst player is good. Let's see, what's he doing? He looks like he's doing fitting and stuff. We'll go with Jebby today. Yeah. Lots of good guys to choose from. All right, guys, enjoy. This has been Matterall from Talking in Stations. We will see you tomorrow.